Before this video starts, I just want to give a massive shout out to all my channel members. If you want to receive a shout out, then become a channel member today and you'll be shown on screen like all these other channel members here. Anyways, enjoy the video. In version 15.1.1, we get to see the addition of the Demon Slayer collab, and along with it comes some brand new units. One of these units is Nezuko Kamado, sister of Tanjiro, who was turned into a demon, but how well does her newfound power translate into the Battle Cats universe? Well, in this video, I want to go over her kit and see what she could bring onto the battlefield. The footage of Nezuko in here is at level 40. To get us started, let's take a look at her stats. Nezuko sports 76,000 health at level 30 and deals 51,000 damage with the two-way multi-hit, with each hit dealing 25,500 damage and sports 14k DPS. She sports a range stat of 210 with a cooldown of 51.2 seconds, sports 2 knockbacks, and costs 2,700 to send out. Nezuko is a target-only unit, being only able to target alien, zombie, and traitless enemies. She also knocks back her targets on the second hit, doubles their damage at 50% health, sports Z-Killer, and is immune to Curse and Slow. Seeing as Nezuko is a target-only unit, her usage is already limited to fighting specific enemies. In saying this, most units with this ability get compensated by having a gigantic stat pool, similar to Ubers like Shingen and Dr. Clay. Nezuko certainly sports solid damage and a rather impressive DPS stat of 14,000 before Strengthen. With Strengthen, this gets bumped to a very impressive 30,000 DPS at level 30 alone. However, while her damage is quite impressive, she is severely weighed down by the fact that her attack rate and health aren't nearly enough to compensate for the horrific range stat of 210. This range heavily restricts to where she could be used. Even when compared to other target-only Ubers, they all have at least 400 standing range, so they at least can't get fully picked apart in mixed stages. Her relatively low health stat compared to her range means that against enemies like Aros and Lord Gravy, her health pool is quickly eaten away at. Another issue that she has to deal with is the fact that her knockback ability is more harmful than helpful in most situations. This is due to the fact that it could push several threats into the safety of the enemy backline, and because she's a target-only unit, she can get stuck having to take a ton of damage from another enemy that now sits in front of whatever she was fighting with no way of her being able to fight back. This can be especially seen when facing an enemy like Henry or Scissorrex, who are commonly paired with enemies that Nezuko can't handle or literally can't target. This leaves Nezuko only being strong against other aggressive, low-range enemies that she can target. In terms of traitless enemies, her best matchups are against the likes of Dogshun, Autosmack-You, Dober PD, and Cory, as all of these enemies have short ranges and have the means to push rather aggressively, so knocking them back isn't the end of the world. However, as mentioned before, she absolutely struggles against a majority of the actual traitless threats that outrange her. Notable traitless enemies in this category would include the likes of Arost, H-Na, and Rain D. In terms of fighting aliens, she fares a little bit better, but still, a ton of alien enemies have the range advantage over her. Some alien enemies that she can deal solid damage to include Nimoy Boar, Mesocosmocyclone, Starpang, and Grigori. Some aliens could also be tricky for her to deal with thanks to the plethora of CC abilities that they sport, especially starred aliens having Warp, which can constantly interrupt her attacks. Because she has a split multi-hit, she also can't break some of the tougher barriers unless she is strengthened, like Le Solar and Ribbo at higher levels. Zombies are by far her best target trait, considering a majority of zombie enemies have melee ranges like Zangru, Zerzeal, and Dreadbore. Since most of these enemies also tend to be aggressive pushers, being able to knock them back can help regain ground against these enemies. Her also sporting Zombie Killer allows her to deal with a ton of zombies in just a few hits, and her attack rate does allow her to keep up with zombie spam. She still struggles a ton against the few zombies that do outrange her, as they all quickly shred her health with little issue. Her slow immunity doesn't have that much application against most of her targets, either because they deal too much damage for it to matter, or they could easily escape her attack range due to her knockback ability. The one exception is against Dabu of the Dead, as his low attack rate and knockback immunity can actually allow Nezuko to score meaningful damage in a single life cycle. She can also deal meaningful damage to the Zoris and Zerzeals present in Dabu's first stage as well, though she falters against the Angels present in his stage. Her curse immunity is only meant for mixed stages, and stages that feature the Relic Doge base, seeing as units that have target only can't even attack their targets if they're cursed. Granted, this immunity sees little proper application where it works well, considering that if Nezuko is getting hit by a relic enemy, that's usually a sign she's just dead anyway. Her 210 range also makes her pretty unusable against Master Ural, since Ural's 200 standing range means that even if Nezuko was the lowest ranged unit out, any slight movement from Ural could just melt her in an instant. This isn't even to mention the constant waves of Relic Doge and Sorels that would shred her in the first place. So, how good is Nezuko? Well, there was potential to have a strong target-only Uber that is both relatively cheap and has a fast cooldown, but her lack of health and range basically relegate her usage to a few select traitless and alien enemies. She fares way better against zombies, considering most are melee ranged. Her knockback is more harmful than helpful in a ton of situations. The lack of range and health also means that she melts very fast in mixed stages that feature enemies she doesn't even target, which is a lot. At least her stats are very solid for Into the Future, Cast of the Cosmos, and zombie outbreaks. With all that said, I want to thank you for watching this analysis of Nezuko. If you thought this insight was interesting, then be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy Battle Cats content, and comment down below your thoughts on them. I'd love to hear what you all think. Also, shout out to the following channel members: Dr. Deadly, Gumet, Virus Opero, Just a Shark, Gross Cat the Ultra, Potato King, Atsushi, King Wolf, Clamorous, Barely Grover, Jade Rabbit, Mustafa, and Janek Altenberg for being silver members or higher. If you want to receive a shoutout like these channel members here, then become a silver member or higher today. Becoming a channel member supports what I do in a way that helps keep the lights on and allows me to continue making content for all of you to watch. Anyways, I hope you have a wonderful day.